Well, what do you know? Two streams, one day. How is it possible? Oh, there goes the light. Hold on a sec. Okay. Oh my God, Tox is here. Hey, wow. Oh my God, I got you. Hey, Tox. Good to see you again. Baldwin is here. Wow, man. Everybody just showed up all of a sudden. Great to have you here. Shadow, Mr. Shadow. Hey, bro. How's your day? My day is going most excellently. How has life been? I will catch you guys up in a minute. How's everything going? Well, I'm happy to say things are going great. And isn't that nice? Here's some happy news from Mr. Kent. So it's really, really nice to see you guys again. I was offline for a while because, oh, it's 2 a.m. where you are. Oh gosh, that's late. How's school, Tox? I hope you're doing okay in school. Let's see. So, this project that I'm doing has a budget, and sometimes the budget runs out, and then they gotta wait until they get more money. And so they got more money, and we're back, and that's how that goes. So, I've been working on my own stuff since then, and taking a little break, I guess. I got a lot of things going on in my life. I've been teaching kung fu 3 days a week now, which has been really fun and obviously very healthy. I'm going dancing on the weekends like usual. Yeah, just my social life is better and work's going well. We're just kind of changing the seasons over here, and this book has got to get done by Christmas, so I gotta kick tail and get moving on this thing. So I will be probably streaming a lot. I happen to have today off, so here you see me online in the middle of the day where I live, which is nice. So yeah, it's just generally things are good. So I'm happy to say it's pretty cool. What else can I tell you? Gosh, I mean, there's a hell of a lot going on in the world, as you know. I've been following all that stuff very, very, very closely, and I can tell you quite a lot. I can do a lot of commentary on that. Oh, you play handball? Oh, wow, that's very healthy. That's got, you're running around a lot. Good cardio. Very good cardio. Yeah. I just went dancing last weekend. There's this kind of new club that I'm going to now, and I was there for like 3.5 hours, and I came home. I weighed myself before I left, and when I came home, and I lost 4 pounds in one night. Of dancing like a maniac. A lot of beautiful women there. Of course, my sort of club friends are there, and get our time to just hang out and be happy, have a laugh. take a break from the world, this crazy world we live in. And I've got a birthday coming up soon, so I'll be celebrating that with some friends. And what else? I've been doing a lot of planning, business planning stuff. Oh man, it's just always something, you know? It's always something. But yeah, I figured you guys would be worried about me since I was disappeared for so long. But, you know, when the budget is out, then whatever. What I was doing was a little more like not stuff that I would stream, you know, as kind of research, business development, that kind of thing. So yeah. Anyway, here we are. Woohoo! And there it is. So let's read. So, Mr. Kent, you are like my patient, my patent giving me motivation and so many more. So your art style I love, and I love the most, and I used it to improve my art too. Very, very good. I'm really happy to hear that I'm an inspiration. I like to inspire people. You know, that's a big part of my life. A friend of mine, you know, in this sphere, he keeps telling me, like, you know, you're really good at bringing people together, and you should, you know, try to do more of that kind of thing. And other people are like, oh, you should teach art and this and that. And there's just not enough hours in the day, guys. You know what I mean? So, but you know, I'm just happy to say things are good. And there you go. Nothing to complain about. You know, let's see what we got here. Talk says parents. Oh, I mean, right. Thank you, thank you. You know, as a former art teacher, whenever I talk to young artists, I always try to be as encouraging as I can. You know, we were all there at one point in our. You know, everybody had to start somewhere. You know, so it's great when you get, you know, some kind of teachers that can kind of give you good pointers or encouragement. One of the biggest things I'll tell you is when you have a teacher that sees potential in you. And that, I'll give you an example. When I went to college, one of the professors there was a famous, he was already an established artist in New York City, like a big name guy, you know. And he was a big deal. So you can imagine among the art students, we admired him a lot. We envied him, you know, we wanted to be his friend or something like that. And he was a kind of a really unique guy, very professional. Anyway, so I took his course on art education. And Nevea, hello, Nevea. Nice to have you, mister. I will go to bed now. Okay, get some sleep. It's too late, so sweet dreams to you. You can dream about drawing, I guess. As always, like old days, I will say, don't you dare push yourself. Well, you know, I do a lot, but thank you for your loving support and kindness. I really do appreciate it. Okay, sweet dreams to you. Take care. Okay, bye bye. What was I saying? So, the professor, I can't say his name. He has work in the Modern Museum at in New York City. It's the MoMA, Museum of Modern Art. That's a big deal. You don't get into these kind of institutions for nothing. That's a very big deal if you're in there. You basically have secured a place in art history. If your art is in there. So my advisor told me, you should take his class, and I did. And then of course, I was very much aware of it, thinking like, wow, my God, I'm this like kind of young, aspiring artist, and I want to be famous and all this shit. And then, so I'm going into his class, and I'm very self-conscious. I want to impress him, so much. I don't know how old I was, probably 20, something like that, maybe 20, 21, maybe. And so, class begins, and for the first day, he just did a kind of an art history review where he did like this huge slideshow and, walked through all these different artists, famous artists in history, and he talked about each one of them, and it was, he talked about what we're going to learn in the class, da, da, da. Just how on the first day of school you really don't do much. It's just kind of an orientation. So while he's doing the slideshow, I noticed that he got one of the names wrong of the artists. And not only that, it was my favorite artist that he was talking about. At the time, there's an artist named Egon Schiele, who's from, I believe, Austria. And this guy, I mean, he lived in, I don't know, 100 years ago or something, but he's a very well-known, famous artist of his time. So, and he was, I don't know, he wasn't the student of Gustav Klimt, but you could tell he was very much inspired by Klimt. It was a kind of style in Austria at the time. So anyway, he's going through the slideshow, and he gets to Egon Schiele, and he said it was somebody else or whatever. And at the end of class, he's like, "Oh, are there any questions?" And I said, "Yeah, slide 37, you got the name wrong of the artist. That's not Gustav Klimt. That was Egon Schiele." And this is a 20-year-old Donald Kent. Like, you do not embarrass your professor on the first day of fucking class. You know what I mean? It's so stupid, Very, very stupid move. But I just wanted to show him, like, I know my stuff, I'm really, really serious. Like, I'm on your level or something. So in front of the whole class, he's like, oh, really? Oh, click, 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 click. And he goes back to slideshow, gets to that slide, and sure enough, I'm right. And he's like, oh my God, you're right. Yeah. Thanks, for correcting me there, Donald. And zabba dabba dabba do. So, like, that's sort of the beginning. Thank God he wasn't like a douchebag, but instead a very cool guy. And I got noticed, by him. And so as the class went on, I made like a huge, huge effort to just do the best I could. And, obviously, at that age, at that time, it wasn't like, oh, introduce me to your gallery or your agent. It wasn't like that. It was like, teach me how to be a great artist. I want to be a great artist. It's never about money or fame or shit like that. It's always about, I want to be the greatest artist of all time, like that kind of thing. So, you can see that, whatever that's going on. And, he's really, really enjoying my art, and I'm kind of cracking jokes in class, and a friendship is developing, and it's really going wonderfully well. So I'm feeling really good. And then finally one day he's like, Donald, are you free during the lunch break? Something, bring your best paintings down to my office and let's have a meeting. I want to talk to you. And I was like, oh my God, 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 like, oh, this is a big deal. Something's going to happen. So I get my best paintings and I kind of put them out, and it's just him and I in the classroom, it's kind of that part of the day where everyone's on lunch break and no one's around. And he's like, Donald, I can't tell you what it is, but whatever it is, you got it. Whatever it is that makes an artist, you got it. Like, you got that thing, you got that spark. And I'll never, that changed my life. That changed my life. The knowledge of like this great successful artist who's, like a big deal, took the time out to take me aside. And when you're 20 or whatever, you're still a young man. You're still kind of figuring out who you are, and you just don't know for sure. You really don't know what's going on. And when someone of that caliber takes that kind of time, to say what he said and do what he did, it's really big deal. It's a very big deal. So that changed my life. I feel very much like, if that never happened, I don't know what I don't know. I don't know. I'm very stubborn about what I do. You have to be in order to put the kind of hours in like I do. But it just means a lot. It just means a lot. So like when I went on to become an art teacher, I knew that. I knew that. I knew what it meant to young developing artists. Art's not like, I don't know, it's not like anything else. And it's very personal, it's very intimate, and people naturally will tie their identity to it very closely. So you have to be careful what you say. Now, on the flip side, I could tell you some terrible stories about, hey, Splattercat, nice to have you here. Thanks for joining. And I did tell, I'm pretty sure I told this story a long time ago on this channel. But on the flip side, I had another teacher who was my advisor. She was actually the one that told me to take the previous teacher, the art education teacher's class. So anyway, she was the child of two psychiatrists or psychologists. And she grew up in an environment where she was constantly being analyzed and criticized and just, I guess it fucked her up. That's pretty much what she told us, which is a weird thing to go to college and then your art professor tells you that personal stuff about her life. It's kind of weird. I noticed that once every semester she would single out one student that she didn't like, and she would build them up and then in one day like come down really, really, really hard in the critique, in the art critique, and just shatter that person's ego, like shatter them, bring them to tears. And there was one occasion where it was a guy, but they were mostly girls that she did this to. And there'd be girls that'd be kind of like cute, blonde, suburban cheerleader girls that, had probably grew up in like upper middle class family, and they liked art and they liked painting and they wanted to be a fine art major and they came into the course. And that's their fucking business. That's their life. If you're a teacher, your job is not to destroy people, And I'm like, wow. And the first time I saw her do this, and this girl ran crying out of the room, like she ran out of the room bawling, like her eyes out. And, because she was, the teacher was building her up and, oh, you're so special. And then, towards the end of the semester when like the grades really matter, she would just destroy them. Like, this painting is shit. What the I wouldn't, she would say things like, I wouldn't wipe my ass with this painting. That was the kind of things that she would say, and that's really vulgar. I mean, that's just really vulgar. It's obviously not the kind of thing that a teacher should say to their students, very abusive, And the first time I saw this, I didn't know what to make of it because I'm here. I am kind of, I'm a young art student myself, and I guess what I was just trying to understand is like, what's the difference between good art and bad art? Like, why are you? How can you determine that this is a bad painting? And then like, I really don't know why you need to be so passionate about it that like you would like make someone run out of the room crying. I think that's a little inhuman, right? Well, the second semester she pulls that shit again, and I'm like, again? What? And then the third semester, I'm like, oh my God, this woman's a fucking bitch. What a fucking monster. Like, fuck. And by the fourth semester, I could already tell who she's gonna single out. I'm like, okay, it's that Susie girl from the village of some little town locally that would all the rich kids come from. Oh well, Susie's gonna get the shit kicked out of her, you know, by this evil feminist teacher. Fucked up, very weird. And like, here's the other thing that she did. She at one point she required the class. Now in fine art class, it's very very normal and traditional that you have a nude model. This just old European style art education. You do, it's called figure drawing, and that's just been the theme forever, right? So we would learn anatomy, learn drawing techniques, this, that, and the other thing, and then you have a model come out, and you literally do hundreds of hours of drawing, and we have very rigorous critiques. I got a really excellent education in art. I will say she was a good teacher. She was just a monster of a person. But anyway, one day she decided that she's going to require the class to do nude self portraits. Now, today, if a teacher did that, you could probably sue them. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nude self portraits? I mean, you're out of your mind. She wanted us to all go, and it was kind of like almost like a test, like a shit test of like, well, let's see if you're a real artist. We're gonna separate the wheat from the chaff here. Which one of you is a real artist and will do a nude self portrait, and which ones are gonna chicken out. And the ones that are, that chicken out of doing this are obviously beneath the rest of us great, great artists, this snobby liberal fucking attitude. So, me being like, okay, I'm a real artist. I'm gonna do this. I did and I was very, very, very good. I was one of the top students in the class. And so I did a fucking nude self portrait, and there I am in my full glory, and leaving nothing to the imagination. And then the class time comes, and we all have to like put our picture out in front of our table or whatever, and then everybody can kind of walk around the room and look at each other's work, and then we go into the critique. Oh man, that was the most fucking awkward class of all time you can imagine, because like people are like putting up nude pictures of themselves, just it was awful. It was awful, really awful. I don't know. At the time, I think I was so naive, though. I was like so very naive that I didn't think. I just was like, oh well, if this is what the teacher says, then this is normal. This is what you're supposed to do in art college. I didn't see like what kind of a fucking wacko bullshit this was. So now the teacher decides, okay, now I'm going to go after Donald. This is going to be my big feminist jerk off. I'm going to take his nude self portrait and I'm going to put it up in front of the class and I'm going to scream about it. Like, I'm going to just, blah, blah, blah. And by this time, I'm like, I know your fucking tricks, bitch. Like, I know what you're going to do. I can see that, it looks like I'm in this really vulnerable position. But it's going to take fucking bullets and bombs to get me out of here. Your stupid feminist horseshit is not enough to make me quit art. Go fuck yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have no idea who you're dealing with, like that. So she gets up there and I start questioning her. And she's like, nah, nah, nah. And she's got this like real screamy, whiny bitch voice and she's going on. Now everybody's scared of her. They're all like intimidated by her. So they don't challenge her. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Whatever you say, whatever you say. And I'm like, well, no. I mean, if you're critiquing my work, I need to know what's wrong. Like, what did I do wrong? Like, why is this not good? And well, no, she didn't like that. I was like, you're not supposed to question me. Like I wasn't expecting anyone to fucking challenge me. And so I kept pushing her and pushing her. And finally she like screams and she says like, because your penis is in the center of the page or something like that. And she like takes her that, have that like those wooden pointers and she like smacks the painting, symbolically, I mean, this is the shit you see in movies. I mean, it really is. That's why I keep saying like my life would make a great movie. Like you just can't imagine the wacky, retarded shit that goes on in my life. So I was like, okay, so the lesson is don't put things in the center of a page. Like okay, next lesson, let's move. Let's go. What's next? Like all right, I want more. Let's go. And I mean, there literally is. You could actually say that like, you don't really want to put the main theme of a picture dead center in a page. It's just a little too kind of obvious in a way. So there's kind of something to say for that. But what a fucking joke! Holy shit, man! I tell you, the things you hear on the Donald Kent show. I would laugh at the teacher. Nevaeh says I would laugh at the teacher. It's funny. Sweater Kid says I draw my dog. Dude, I know. Unnaturally large, just like a third leg, just to trigger her feminism, right? Well, I mean, I was like I said, I was young and naive. I knew about feminism. I didn't like feminism, but I was still kind of I was young, and here I'm like, I don't want to get kicked out of art school either. I'm trying not to. You get the idea. So, but I just thought, you know what? If she's gonna play this game of like, I'm using art critique as an excuse to actually attack you, then I'm gonna play the game too, and I'll be like, oh really? Okay, well then explain yourself. And so I kind of threw it right back at her, which was pretty cool, in its own way. What a weird woman. There's more about her that I could tell you, but I would have to like reveal her identity. I can't do that, so no can do. Hey, Chief Moody. Hey, Chief, what's going on, man? I just joined your Telegram channel. What's new, man? Tell us about your show and what's going on. Give us the lowdown. Let's get moody with Chief Moody. I always wanted to tell you, Chief Moody is like the coolest fucking name in the world. I don't know if you knew that or not, but it just is. So anyway, Nevaeh says, quick question. Do you like to paint with watercolors? I love painting with watercolors. Watercolor is not easy, I gotta say. That just kind of makes me bring this bad boy out right here. This little bit of watercolor work right there. How did I get into watercolor? Well, I was an oil painter, and then I moved to Japan, and then I learned how to do watercolor, traditional watercolor in Japanese art. It's its own thing. This is acrylic right here, but I love oil and acrylic because they're more. It's much what you call visceral. It just has like a certain textural quality that's really strong, and it can be very bold with it. So like whereas example this right here is an ink wash. So it's like a watercolor painting. It's just ink and water and paper, you know. And so you can see the kind of the wet quality in there. You know, if you look around, you can see it's very subtle. The way that the water allows the ink, which in watercolor, because they're the same medium, it's a water-based medium. In watercolor, the water allows the ink or the color to blend, and so it's very hard to work with. I really strongly associate it with like Zen, you know, with like Zen Buddhism and stuff like that, because it's the brush becomes a sword. This is watercolor, believe it or not. Only the difference is that this painting is 4 foot by 3 foot. Excuse me. This took a long time to finish. Anyway, let's read some comments. Chief says, I'll be streaming live tomorrow at 6 p.m. UK time. Okay. I'm doing that right now. Oh, nice, nice. Alrighty. I'm going to need a little water because I got a sore throat and I can't talk with this sore throat. Give me a minute. I'll be right back. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, wait. Oh, Chief Moody, how's your drawing coming along? You got a comic book in the making, I believe. Okay. Get this water. Hold on. Nicey, nicey. I might actually get a cough drop too, because not so good. All right, what's next? What's next here? Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Cool, cool. Tell me more about your watercolor. Is it portraiture, landscape? What are you doing? So I'm going to talk through a little bit of an idea that I have. I'm doing the research for this right now. there's all kinds of really great AI tech out there now for various reasons. And one is it creates apps. Like you can create an app. And I thought what I'm trying to do is set up a new sort of a new website. I need a fresh start. I need a new site where I am gonna focus on selling, like doing subscription based web comics, selling swag. I did some research on like what do right wingers buy and stuff like that, and shockingly, it's a large part of it is things like T-shirts, and I was sort of like T-shirts. I mean, yeah, they gun supplies or prepping supplies or certain kinds of books or whatever, but I was shocked at how much like apparel just a big thing in that market. So I'm like, well, that's a no-brainer. That shit's the easy stuff to do for me. So I got to set aside time to do some like product design. The web comic stuff I think is you know it can be topical. I mean, it's going to be like my own guy, Militia Man. But I think it's going to have to be like shorter, 1 or 2 page, something I can pump out in a week. You know what I mean? Get a subscription base for that. And then funnel people to the sales, excuse me, of t-shirts and shit. I don't know that it's like $1 million business model, but it is a business model. But one of the things that I came across, let me zoom out. You can't see the screen very well. Is this thing where you can create your own app. And I thought, well, that would be sweet if there could be like a Donald Kent app where you just download it to your phone, and then you get everything from there. You can go to daily web comic, not daily, weekly web comics, swag store, my YouTube channel, like everything in one place. Oh, I'm at the DK art app. What do I want? Oh, let's check out his new show. Click. Oh, let's see. Oh, wow, he came out with a baseball cap. Let's check it out. Oh, I want to buy that. Okay, click, click. All right, let's see what else. Like, oh, I'm going to share this to social media. Oh, look, here's a fun reel. Click, click, click. You know what I mean? Make it just easy and fun, really. And go from there. Just go from there. I think that would be very nice to streamline in such a way. All right, we got something in the chat. Let's take a read. Hold on. Chief says, I still haven't started. I've been busy, such as work. Even when I do have time, I have been writing more on character description, story arcs. Very, very important. You got to start there. Nevea says, like right now, I'm coloring with my watercolors. Okay. When I was doing the preliminary writing for Militia Man and MAGA Force, I was very much in the mindset of, these characters. I want to see representations of things that you will not see in the media. Like, they will never have a nationalist superhero the way that I have one. You get the idea. But more than that, it's also you'll never see a villain who is essentially like a liberal. It's the liberals are always the heroes. And so, but they're going to be villains in my story. So I switched everything around, as you can see. And it's very gratifying. It is extremely gratifying. Naru draws like done. Okay, like done. And there you go. And now you know. The thing with so I'm sure you can find this on the internet, but there's something called the DC Comics Guide to Writing for Comics, and I have a copy of it. It's I think an essential reading for folks like us. And it goes through all the different formulas. If you're doing a monthly book, if you're doing an ongoing series, done in one, this, that, and the other thing, all these different types of literary formats, if you will. So with that, and then there's all kinds of info in there about character development. They have this thing called the MacGuffin, which is a sort of a funny term for the thing that, like, the thing that everyone's after. There's every story has to have a MacGuffin, and that would be like, is it, capturing the crown jewels from the dragon, or like, is it save the girl? Is it? It might not even be those things. It could be something like, a journey of self-discovery that just comes through some other journey, some other kind of plot device. And there's a sense of like I tend to base my characters on people I know or characters from other movies. I'd be like, okay, this is the Han Solo of the book. He's not gonna say or act, exactly like Han Solo, but he's got that cool swagger. He's a bad boy. There's something. You know what I mean? Like, there'll be those traits. I think, excuse me, something that's really, really important in Western literature is how people transform. How this, so there's this question of all stories that does the story, people, environment return to the status quo at the end, or is everybody and everything changed forever? So that's a kind of a thing that you're going to want to answer in your story. Is like, okay, we've kicked all the Muslims out of the UK. Now we can go back to the status quo. You get my point? Or there was a civil war and we overthrew the government and we had to kill all the Muslims. And now, England will never be the same because we're this kind of war-torn country that had to go through this horrible experience, and it changed the character of our people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you could look at movies like, oh, come on, Oliver Stone. What's the first fucking Vietnam movie he did where the kid goes and he learns the truth of war? Platoon. So he's like, yeah, my old man was in the military and his old man was in the military, so I figure I gotta go too. And yeah, I'm a working class guy and blah blah blah, and he doesn't take it seriously. It's just this. He's just kind of floating through life, not understanding like the truth of war, and at the end of it, is really deeply changed as a person, So that's the story. That's what happens. He sees the corruption and this and that. Most writers use some kind of what do you call it, like autobiography. There's always going to be something of yourself in the MacGuffin, a thing that drives the plot forward. There you go. So, like for example, maybe the lead character is doing whatever he's doing. Let's say if he's robbing a bank or something, and it might be like, okay, it looks like it's a bank robber movie. That's the movie, but he's not. That's not really moving the plot forward. What's moving the plot forward is his 12-year-old daughter who needs surgery and he can't afford it. You get my point. That's yeah, you guys get the idea. I don't have to keep going on about that, and that's the kind of stuff that makes the characters interesting. You don't want two-dimensional characters. I mean, two-dimensional characters are essentially cartoons. You see what I'm saying? They're more like living literary devices, if you will. They're if it's intentional, that they are silly or stupid, comical. That's a thing in itself. But if you're trying to actually write real stories, with real people, you gotta give them some complexity. It's like nobody's all good or all bad, kind of like that sort of thing. Even Thanos, he destroys this world, but he adopts a girl from one of the worlds that he destroys, because he's got a sensitive side. I'm gonna just kill half your planet, but I'll take this little girl with me, and as my I'll adopt her as my daughter. Anyway, thanks, Thanos. I like Thanos. I think he's cool. He's got a very realistic, like, there's so much evil in the world, and you can't coexist with evil. You have to destroy it. And if we can just lower the population by half. No, I shouldn't say that actually. That's really more like New World Order shit, which I'm profoundly against, obviously. But he's very based in some ways, though. Like he's, whatever. Anyway, moving on. Almost done with this page. Let's see what we got here. MacGuffin, yeah, I read that. Okay, so should we talk Charlie Kirk? Should we go there? Is that too dark? Is that too weird? Like if someone writes in the chat, no, do not do that, then I will not. But until then, I'm gonna go full free speech on yo ass. More and more crazy shit keeps coming out. Just this morning, something came out demonstrating that he filed for divorce 2 days before being killed. And then his wife, widow, who didn't cry at that big weird event that they had for that memorial. That memorial was so fucking tasteless, totally inappropriate. They had like close-up photos of her with her makeup on, and she was fake crying and shit. she's got a weird background. She's got some kind of like, I don't know how to put it, but like she's not, you know, somebody from Kansas that had no background. She's connected to like all these families and politicians and all this shit. Excuse me. It's said that she got kicked out of Romania on charges or something, I guess, of child trafficking. She had like what do you call it, an orphanage there, and somehow got caught related to that. You guys can look this stuff up for yourself. I mean, this is Charlie Kirk's wife. Like, did he know this? Did he not know this? The fact that he filed for divorce 2 days before his murder. Now, you have to obviously take into account how he was. He openly stated that I'm no longer on the. Not openly. In his texts to people he trusted, he said I'm no longer on the pro-Israel bandwagon. I can't continue, with that cause. He denies the $2 million that Netanyahu offers him. Israeli intelligence ran security for the event. There were like over 100 phones in the audience during his murder that were somehow pinging with Israel. Like there's many unanswered questions that are very damning, that's really strongly implicating that Israel is to the result of this. I just saw a comedian on Instagram, and he's like, okay, before I tell this next joke, I want to get a barometer of like where this audience is. And so he says, okay, so my question to you is, do you believe that like Antifa kid killed Charlie Kirk? Like, raise your hand if you believe that. And not a single person in the audience of like a couple hundred people or whatever, every single one of them does not believe that the fall guy killed him. And I mean, that's just one case or whatever, but I still think it's a pretty strong indicator that people know what's fucking going on. The fact that is it Larry Ellison? He buys TikTok because we have to shut down anti-Semitism. People are going too far. They're saying too much, and so I'm gonna buy the fucking thing, and then like shut down criticism. It's like, you're actually doing the opposite of what you're trying to do by doing that. Did you realize that, you idiot, scumbag, weirdo? So like there's just 10 million things going on right now that just all add up to that. So there you go. It's kind of the new JFK thing, where it's like, well, we'll murder you in public, that another country can kill an American citizen on American soil. And the FBI is, what's the word? Compliant, going along with it, not stopping it, Sometimes words fail me, but hope you'll forgive me. Compliant? What's the word I'm looking for? Splattercat, when you're going along with a crime, you are what? What's the fucking word for that? Oh, I can't think of the word. What is it called? Complicit. Fuck. You see what I mean? I get so fucking mad at myself. It's like, God damn, why can't it? Complicit. I'm like, compliant? Duh. Fucking retard. Go back to school. Compliant. What am I? Complicit. Thank you. Okay. An accomplice to, yeah. Well, complicit is really the word I was looking for. It's like if I provide you like the getaway car for a crime and maybe like the weapon of to use on the crime. I'm and or I know things about a crime, but I won't tell the authorities about it. I'm working. I didn't do the crime, but I'm working with the criminal. I'm complicit. So thank you, Splattercat, for the win. You just got a big raise. Yep. Check's in the mail, bro. Check is in the mail. Holy cow. I tell ya. I don't know why I do that. It's kind of weird. Excuse me. Like I'll be cooking along on something and I'm talking about something and then I'll just totally shit the bed. Like, oh, what's that word for that one thing? I don't know why I do that. Anyway, moving on with this marvelous story. Baldwin says an accomplice. Oh, I already read that. Okay. So it's not a small thing. The country, the culture, we're just like if you want to call it anti-Semitism, it's at an all-time high. What I would call it is just like people waking up. They're finally waking up. And these influencers, there's a lot of new influencer shows, and they're all out there calling this out. You've got the Young Turks that are going crazy about it. Like, I don't know the girl's name, but she was told that she needs to apologize for her like merchant impersonation, and they're talking about like they're supporting like Candace Owens and the points that she's making. You would never see that before. It's just not. It's unheard of that the left and the right would be working together to expose this. So it's a big deal. Excuse me. Oh, I need some water in a second here. Oh, alrighty. Anna Kasparian, thank you. Yes. Prior to like what's going on and how they're sort of coming together with us in a sense on this topic, I've always thought that she was just like venomous, like a venomous snake. But now I'm like, wow, interesting. So this page has a lot of dialogue on it. So I had to make the characters smaller and farther away and lots of empty space so they can have long dialogue, exposition, etc. Where the hell is the damn thing? Right here, I guess. But we'll be moving on to the next page in just a moment. It's nice to get some work done. I've been behind. I actually had this other freelance job. It's like my normie in my normie life, so I can't share it here. But and that kind of sucked up a lot of time as well. Uh-oh, this marker's going dead. Not good. All right. Let's see what else we got. So I just did this one earlier today. Kind of interesting. This robot that he's been riding, she gets blasted by this sort of fiery villain, which causes her to kind of crash out. Actually, I did not do the final part here. Actually, a dry marker is kind of good for this type of thing at the moment. Well, I hate to see you go, honey, but that's all she wrote. I'll put some little bit of darkness in the clouds here, like she's burning up, you know? All right, that's the end of that. And now, moving on. Hello to Len Graham. Hello to Colin Bruder. Hey, nice to see you all. Len says, does the letterer have a say in your compositions? Yes and no. The author of the book is handling, excuse me, the colorist and the letterer. So he advises them. You know, it's funny because I just lettered more of the Militiaman. I just had that done and it's being delivered to me now. And in my case, what I'll do is I'll take like a screenshot, and then in red I'll draw the balloons where I want them. If there's like a sound effect, you know, crash, I'll draw crash, and I'll tell the guy, put it here, put that there, put this here. This has to look like this. So I'm in total control. And he just, I mean, I've worked with letterers that are smart and they get it. They know the art of lettering. But there's a million just like jackasses on the internet that want to make a quick buck, kind of, you know, and don't really understand how lettering is supposed to work, or that there's an actual art to typography. And those people are just, you know, like, they're not fun to work with. I hate to say, like, I probably shouldn't. I should say this. The guy I'm working with now, I'm gonna get a new guy because he just, you know, doesn't understand simple instructions, and I make it so but easy, like just so stupidly easy to do this. You know, I drew out where the fucking balloons go, but just put them in there. You know, I'm whatever. You know, I'm sorry. Am I a bad person? Does that make me a bad person? Did I offend you? What do we got here? So what's going on, Len Graham? It's been a while. And Colin, I think weren't you on last night or the other night? Yeah, we were talking about Nullis and how he has no accent when he speaks German. It's kind of amazing. I'm very jealous, very jealous. So here's my Germany story. I was in college years ago, young man, young artist, and I wanted to travel abroad. I was like, you know what, I got to squeeze every drop out of this college thing while I can. And so I found out about doing like foreign study programs and stuff like that. And I thought, well, how, I'm really, really interested in German expressionism from World War One, World War Two. So I'll, work with my art history teacher and get an art history credit for going to Germany for one summer, visiting. I was going to stay in Cologne, and I know that's not how you pronounce it, but I'm an American. I don't know how to speak German. Maybe you can teach me how to say the word properly. But anyway, I was going to stay in Cologne for the summer and do a tour of the art museums there. Apparently, they have like the best collection of German expressionism from that era. And then write like a, you know, college level dissertation on it, with any other kind of research that I could gather. And then come back after summer, hand it in, and get a full semester credit for that. So the, what do you call the art history professor, was totally on board. He was like, yeah, this is a great idea. I'll support you all the way. We'll write up the lesson plans and this and that and the da da da. Then you got to take it to the main office administrator and see about getting like whatever money that they give for this type of stuff. So we did the whole application shit, and they denied it. They denied it. No, we're not giving you money to do that because art history is not important and your education is not important, and we got to build new we got to give money away to black students, but white students wanting to learn about German World War II history, nope, no money for that. No money for that. And so I was really bitter about it at the time, really bitter. I'm still bitter about it, let's be honest. And I think to myself, like, where would I be today had I gone to Germany that one summer? I guarantee you, something like my whole life would have been different. I might have stayed. I might have fallen in love and stayed in Europe, or so. Who knows? Who knows? Instead, since I got rejected from that, I ended up going to Japan for a student exchange program. Now, there's really the college doesn't pay me to do it. It's an exchange program is where you pay for one semester of college, and a student in Japan pays for one semester in their college, and you just switch places, you know. So that's what I did for 1 year, and I went to a place called Kansai Gaikoku, in a city called Osaka, and a prefecture. I don't know. Anyway, so I did that, and then that was a whole other thing, and that set me off on another path in life. And it was a good path. There was a lot gained from that experience. It was very good. But being the guy that I am now, the type of work that I do, the movement, all that stuff, I feel shit, I feel like fuck, like that would have made more sense for me now, it would have been so much more enriching for the kind of work that I do now. But whatever, anyway, that's the past, and the past is gone. So at least I can say now I've got Colin Bruder in my chat. That's the best thing I got right going for me right now. But I am sad. I really have a love of Germany. and I wish to God I could do something to free that country. Oh God, I can't tolerate the hell that Germany's been through. I can't tolerate it. All right, this page is almost ready to roll. To be honest, my neck is hurting a little bit from this position for so many hours. Oh, gotta get up and speaking of Germany, I bought this recently. That's kind of neat. Sort of neat. Was that like outdoor vendor fair thing or whatever? And they had like historic stuff. So I don't know. I think that's kind of neat. It's kind of beautiful. It's not like from the era. It's more modern. Like somebody just made it. Maybe it's like costume jewelry for Broadway play or something. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. I'm gonna check the chat in a second here. Hold on. I'm gonna get some water. Oh man. All right, let's read some chats. There goes my water. Hey, nice to see you all. Does litter? I read that Museum Ludwig is quite a renown for expressionism to this day. That's awesome. I have to make it over there eventually. Colin says the past ride through hell is mostly forgotten or even tabooed from being talked about. I'm more concerned about the hell that's getting worse day by day. Oh God, yeah. I know, I know. Bah. All right, here we go. What's up with the Conservative Party in Germany right now? Any news? Let's see. Colin says in the runoff election in Ludwigshafen, just under 27% of eligible voters turned out to vote. The right-wing candidate Paul had previously been excluded from the election. Everything I hear about the election over there is generally bad news. You know, it's just your usual, like, you know, corruption. 27%. Wow. I mean, I think people just generally don't believe in democracy. Like, what's the point? It's all rigged. Wasn't there some election recently where, like, one of the parties won the election and then the government, like, deemed it illegitimate and had to re-vote, like, to vote again? Didn't that happen in Germany recently? I know. I mean, that's some news that I saw in Europe. Not recently, but like within the past year, I think. I heard the craziest news. This is so fucked up. The United States government is allowing the country of Qatar to build a military base in Idaho. I know you're asking yourself right now, like, am I in a nightmare or am I in reality? How could such a thing be real? And it's always this kind of like, and we're proud to announce that, blah 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 da da da, and it's like, who the fuck gave you permission to do that? Like, what kind of fucking shit government are you that you would allow some other country to do that? Go fuck off. And just again, like the way of like, oh, we're so proud to announce this new program that we have, da da da, and then like people will take old. There's like an old tweet from Trump where he's saying that Qatar is one of the worst places to support terrorism, blah 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 blah, and then now it's like, oh, Qatar is so wonderful, and it's just you know the the government is just they're the biggest gangster around. That's all there is really to say about it. Excuse me. Getting over a chest cold. might have to put some music on in a second. Yeah. Yeah, it's getting awfully quiet in here, so I'll put some tunes on. All right. Well, get a lot of work done today. Kind of running out of things to talk about, though. Should voting be mandatory? Interesting. Very, very interesting. Wow. That's an interesting concept because I suppose it could maybe work if, the voting booths and all of that were so highly monitored that there was no way, you know, for corruption to take hold. I just personally believe that democracy itself is just a highly corruptible system. and it's not meant to work, that it's a disguise for the corrupt to make it look like they were legitimately voted in and represent the will of the people. I really don't care if people think that's a conspiracy or whatever. It's just a shit system. It only works if all of the people voting are the same kind of people, are in the in group. You know, you got in America, voting was originally only for white men who owned land. Those were the only people that could vote. You know, and it's pretty interesting. And I'm sure there could be all kinds of discussions about blah 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 blah, all the various aspects of this topic. But I think that the only way that it really would make any sense is if, in fact, there was something homogenous about all the people involved. But it still is kind of fucked up. I just feel like, the world is big enough where if people want to live a certain way with certain policies, there should be someplace like a state set aside where they can do that. And that not everybody has to be affected by that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if you want to live in some liberal shithole, then go be my guest. And now you have to defend for yourself. You have to pay for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Now that, people won't go for that because the whole point of in America, the point of the system is to suck it, is to take all of the tax money that you can get out of it, and it's it's corruption, it's abuse. People don't look at like stealing taxes as like it's like an abstraction. You know what I'm saying? It's like some kind of an abstraction, and they don't see it as a crime per se. Whereas it's one of the worst crimes in light of like how people are struggling to survive. People cannot afford homes. Younger generation, they don't want to get married and have kids because they don't see any way that they can afford to. Oh, that's a really dark, demeaning form of white genocide right there. I don't believe in democracy. I'm against it. I was talking with a coworker not long ago. He's a boomer, older guy, and we were going somewhere and the radio was on. It was one of these conservative radio shows, and somebody on the show was talking about women and the right to vote. And they were going after somebody who's like, oh, this guy, he doesn't think women should have the right to vote, and da da da. And in the car, we were talking, and he brought this up to me, and I said, well, I agree with him. I don't think women should have the right to vote. And this guy is really conservative. He's just a classic Republican boomer. And his eyes popped out of his head. He was like, what? Like, really? And then I went on to explain to him that statistically women vote for things that harm society, that destroy society. The current situation that we're in now is fueled by the emotional voting of women. Women are easily manipulated. They blah 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 blah. There's a lot that one can say. It's not out of the spirit of wanting to harm women. It's out of the spirit of wanting to defend ourselves from women. because they're very, very, very harmful as a group politically. They tend to behave in these ways. And this is not me making shit up. You can just look at data, data, data. There's, it's just what it is. Simultaneously, you know, I would never want women to be treated like second class citizens or harmed in any way by the political system. That's not what I'm saying. Excuse me. But some people can't hear, they can't hear one thing and not hear the other thing. They can't, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't know how to separate these two realities. Um, uh, okay. Collins says in the first election with Paul not allowed on the ballot, 2,9, sorry, I'm just confusing, 9.2% of votes were incorrect. People had written Paul's name on the ballot. So no, making voting mandatory makes it only worse. Right. I just can't really say or see any other reality that the government is a giant criminal organization, and that's it. There's nothing more to say about it. So like, what we need is liberation from governments that treat their citizens the way European governments treat their citizens. I I really, really, really cannot see any other alternative but some form of overthrow. And I can say that from the comfort of sitting here in America, where I'm not going to get a knock on the door, from the German police or the English police or what have you. I just saw a report saying that people will not be able to fly to Europe unless they agree to I forget what it's called. It's like a biometric ID, that thing. So I'll have to like sneak in, basically. I think that's what I'll do. Colin says, governments are the henchmen of the fiscal owners of everything, whom we had better not talk about. Right, right, yeah, yeah. You could kind of say like, they work for the bankers, right? Yeah, there you go. That's pretty much the perfect description right there, I'd say. I just don't. I mean, I don't know. I can't. I cannot see any other way. I don't know how systematically Europe frees itself. Like, you can't use the system that's enslaving you to free yourself. It's like using poison to make yourself better or something. I don't see. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't know any other way, you know. I know it's terrible. I know that's a horrible thing to say and all that it implies. But it's that or death. And so like I just kind of wonder like where is the line? You know, where is the line? The line where Europeans say that's enough. We're not doing this anymore. You know, where is that line? For me, it's miles back. It's years ago. When I heard about grooming gangs in England, I was ready to like, you know, jump on a plane and go to England and just fucking do some terrible things, you know. And I don't know how people can exist with knowing these things, you know. It's maniacal. It's absolutely maniacal. It's total evil. Sorry, I know I'm being bad. I'm saying bad things. Don't say the truth. Just let them hurt us and don't complain. It's like imagine being strapped to a chair and you're being tortured, and every time you cry out in pain, you get punished for it. That's literally what we're living through. It's dark, you know. To me, that's just dark. I don't. And a lot of people around the world are like, why do Europeans allow this? Like, why are white people letting this happen? Now, obviously, our governments are punishing us. They're enabling it. They're part of it. But I don't know. It seems like there should be more to the answer. You know. All right. Wow, this is pretty freaking badass. Bam. I think a lot of the right wing groups in England, around Europe, they're good people. They're good, solid, law abiding people. You know, they're smart academic people, and they're not criminal minded. You know, like Muslims are, like Jews are. You know, like Africans are. They don't have the mindset of like how can I, you know, fuck people? How can I hurt? How can I take away things from people? How can I blah 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 all that stuff? Whereas these other cultures, that literally is the culture, is just criminality. You know, you need these interviews with these Africans about like how they have to rape women. You know, they just have to do it. You know, do you ever you know do you ever worry about it? Oh yeah, you know, maybe I might get an STD. Oh, that's the most they worry about. There's no living with these people. There's no cooperating. There's no humanity. You know. back out of it here. We got some thing here. Rex is back. Thanks for coming back, bud. There are only three. Oh, I'm gonna have to go in a little bit. There are only three options for Europe. A, the Muslims won, which is the worst option. B, European Spring. Excuse me. C, the Christians win, which will probably be the least violent one. I don't really know how the Christians could win, though, right? Unless they become, become violent crusades. If Christians can be convinced to do another crusade to save Europe, it's just like how the question is always this: how can we free ourselves without violence? And I just don't see how that's possible. And I'm not laughing like because I want that or what. Nobody wants violence. But the thing is, we're already living in it. It's just that the violence is going one fucking way. You see what I'm saying? It's not. We're already in violence. I'd say the number one reason that's stopping or slowing down Europeans from organizing in any kind of way is their own governments. Very draconian. There was a man in Canada who was just imprisoned for Holocaust denial. This is news today. In Canada. That's right across the border, Like, Canada is dystopian shithole now, It's no different than the UK or wherever else, with this type of shit. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be the guy that's just the blah blah blah. We all know what's going on. We live around it every day. So, but once again, I just unless certain measures are taken, this isn't going to stop. I can't see any other way. Oh gosh. Excuse me. Oh boy. There is a wellspring of nationalist. Oh wait, I'm missing some comments. Henchman. Okay, Len says there is a wellspring of nationalist parties meeting up across Europe and forming organic connections and communities, and it's giving me hope. Well, that's good to hear. Naturally, they're not going to be advertising what they're meeting or talking about like this. That's not going to happen, but which is fine. But yeah, that's good to hear. That's very great to hear. Sorry. Well, I got a thing coming up in a few minutes here, so I'm going to wrap up the show. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming. And I'm glad we kind of left off on a little bit of a positive note with these nationalist parties. That's good. Hope you guys have a good day, evening, night, wherever you are. And we shall return next time on the Donald Kent Wacky Cool Hour. Okay, all the best, bud. Thanks again. Good talking to you guys. See you next time. Bye bye.